There was new video released yesterday showing Nick Reiner calmly strolling near his parents' home hours before the murders. This was obtained by the New York Post. Let's take a look at it. It's video one. It's just a sidewalk. This is just him walking. For the listening audience, he has a bag over his left shoulder. He's walking calmly.
26 days have passed since the tragedy at the Brentwood home of Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle, and the story is only getting heavier. What first shocked Hollywood is now turning into something far more unsettling as new details keep leaking out piece by piece. A preliminary forensic report has now helped investigators narrow down a critical window of time, and what it suggests has left many shaken. Authorities say the situation escalated fast, and what unfolded inside that home was not random or sudden, but the result of mounting tension that had been building beneath the surface. Sources believe the night may have started earlier at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party, where several guests noticed Nick acting off tense and unpredictable.
Doesn't look irate, doesn't look out of his mind, looks kind of normal. He's walking past a gas station with a hat. He has not yet murdered anybody, allegedly.
What began as an argument reportedly followed him long after the party ended, setting the stage for what came next. After leaving the event, Nick allegedly returned to the Brentwood area, calm on the outside, controlled in his movements and deliberate in every step. Investigators say he later checked into a nearby hotel, acting composed and quiet, drawing no attention as he paid and went to his room. What stunned many was what followed next. Records indicate that shortly after, Nick secured the services of Alan Jackson, one of the most high-profile defense attorneys in the country, using family inheritance funds. The speed and confidence of that move left people asking hard questions. According to the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, the incident inside the home occurred sometime between midnight and the early morning hours. There were no signs of forced entry, because none were needed. He had access, familiarity, and full knowledge of the house. Security records later placed Nick at a Santa Monica hotel around 4 a.m., roughly 20 minutes from Brentwood. Staff described nothing unusual, no calls, no visible distress, just a man sitting in silence as if detached from everything unfolding elsewhere. Hours later, around mid-afternoon, concern turned into alarm when a scheduled visitor arrived at the home and received no response. Calls were made, doors were opened, and in that moment, everything changed forever. As authorities rushed in and the scene was secured, one thing was clear. This was not just a shocking event. It was the result of a night that spiraled out of control in silence. Around 9 p.m., a surveillance camera at an Arco gas station near Exposition Park captured Nick on tape. He was seen buying a sports drink, pacing slightly, scanning the area, clearly restless, but still composed enough to complete the purchase. Just minutes later, at approximately 9:15 p.m., LAPD officers working alongside U.S. Marshals moved in and detained him nearby. There was no struggle, no resistance, no explanation. He remained silent as officers placed him into custody.
A drink at a gas station moments before he was arrested. This is an ABC News video. Here he is. Once again, he's got a bag over his left shoulder, it appears, and he's kind of meandering around a convenience store, and again, does not look out of his mind, deranged in any way, disturbed. This is after, again, the murder.
Footage from that moment shows a young man looking completely hollowed out. His expression wasn't panic or fear. It was exhaustion, like someone emotionally drained to the core. Later, forensic estimates suggested Rob and Michelle had likely passed several hours before they were discovered. That timeline only deepened the mystery and forced investigators to ask a difficult question. What truly pushed Nick to that breaking point? Authorities believe Nick may have attempted to clean himself up before leaving the house or later, while staying at the hotel. Despite that, traces of evidence could still remain on clothing or skin, and surveillance cameras tracked his movements through Santa Monica that same morning. Experts believe the object used was likely taken from inside the home. Nothing elaborate, nothing pre-planned, something ordinary and easily accessible. That detail alone added another chilling layer. Because Nick knew the house intimately, investigators say he was able to move through it with precision. Every hallway, every room, every corner was familiar. A place once filled with comfort became something unrecognizable. As investigators continued their work, early assumptions quickly fell apart. Initial reports suggesting a single act were corrected after forensic analysis revealed multiple serious injuries. The reality was far more complex and disturbing. Professor Joseph Scott Morgan, a respected forensic expert, explained that repeated injuries typically signal deliberate intent rather than a sudden emotional reaction. These situations require proximity, control, and sustained effort. Experts clarified that when different types of injuries appear together, it suggests a prolonged event rather than a momentary lapse. This was not something that happened in seconds, it unfolded over time. From a forensic standpoint, specialists emphasized that scenes like this are nothing like what movies portray. They require strength, coordination, and sustained contact, making the situation even more unsettling. Investigators described the incident as methodical rather than chaotic. Every detail pointed toward intention rather than impulse. Another deeply troubling detail came from early reports, suggesting the couple may have been resting when the incident began. If accurate, it would mean the person responsible understood their routines, habits, and vulnerabilities. Experts say that actions taken at such close range reflect a total invasion of personal space. It's not distant or detached, it's personal, controlled, and deliberate. One more video I want to show you. This is of him surrendering on an LA street as the cops corner him. This a little harder to see, but you can see a bit. Hold on. Where do we get this? Oh, this is from the New York The Post. Okay. The law enforcement has since said he went into custody willingly. But he didn't resist arrest. Every new piece of evidence reinforced one conclusion. The individual responsible knew the home, had access, and could enter without drawing attention. That fact narrowed the focus immediately. Attention soon turned to what happened afterward. Reports revealed that Nick allegedly used family inheritance funds to secure legal representation. This revelation stunned the public. Questions exploded overnight. How much could this defense cost, and where was the money really coming from? Nick did not have an independent financial base. His past work consisted mainly of small projects connected to his father, making the funding source impossible to ignore. The attorney representing him, Alan Jackson, is among the most high-profile defense lawyers in the country. He is known for taking only the most complex and demanding cases, and his reputation alone carries a massive price tag. In previous cases, even reduced rates reportedly resulted in legal costs reaching tens of millions. That number alone became a symbol of privilege colliding with tragedy. For many watching, the optics were jarring. A son accused of unimaginable actions now mounting a defense funded by the wealth built by the very people at the center of the case. As media pressure intensified, reporters questioned Jackson outside the courthouse. His response was brief and guarded. He declined to discuss who was paying the fees. That silence triggered a wave of speculation. Some suggested the case was being taken for visibility. Others whispered about private arrangements behind closed doors. Then came a stunning update. On December 18, 2025, multiple insiders close to the family revealed that the legal fees were reportedly being covered by the Reiner estate, valued at roughly $200 million. Sources claimed the decision involved surviving relatives who believed pursuing a mental health-based defense would be the most humane path forward. They reportedly felt this outcome aligned with what Rob and Michelle might have wanted for their son. Under California law, anyone convicted in such a case cannot benefit from the victim's estate. That legal reality now looms over everything. And as this case continues to unfold, each new detail only raises more questions than answers. Hold on a sec. You can see the cops. You can't really see the defendant at this point. He's behind the car, but you can see the cops are not in like a terror stance that we sometimes see when somebody resists or pulls a gun or a knife on them. They actually look pretty calm. They far outnumbered the one guy, but he was brought into custody. However, the law does not stop other relatives or estate executives from using funds to cover legal defense before a verdict is reached. Legal analyst Sean Weisbart explained that while this is technically allowed during active proceedings, it remains highly controversial and legally risky. Some experts argue the executive could refuse such payments altogether to avoid backlash or future disputes. As of now, neither the family nor the court has officially confirmed where the money is coming from, leaving the public stuck with more questions than answers. Loyalty, justice, and morality are now colliding in real time, and no one seems willing to clarify the truth just yet. Then came the next major moment. Nick Reiner appeared in court for the first time, facing 2 counts of first-degree charges with aggravating circumstances tied to multiple victims. The gravity of the situation hit hard the moment he entered the courtroom. Nick was brought in wearing a standard blue inmate uniform, a stark symbol of how far the situation had fallen. Standing beside him was Alan Jackson, exactly as expected, calm, composed, and fully in control. The hearing itself was tightly restricted with no live cameras allowed, only fueling public curiosity even more. Jackson immediately requested a delay of the formal arraignment so Nick could decide how to proceed. The judge agreed, setting the next hearing for January 7th. Until then, Nick remains in custody at the Los Angeles County Jail, as this case continues to unfold under a national spotlight. The only time the public heard Nick's voice came during a brief exchange with the judge. He was asked whether he would waive his right to a speedy trial so the arraignment could be postponed. His answer was quiet, flat, almost mechanical. "Yes, Your Honor, I do." That was it. No explanation, no visible emotion, just a short response that echoed through the room. The hearing ended quickly, leaving behind a heavy silence and a sense that this was only the beginning. Now all eyes are locked on January 7th. That date could shape everything that comes next for the family, the court, and the public watching closely. But before moving forward, investigators revisited a deeply troubling part of the story. Behind the privilege and the famous last name was a long and painful personal struggle that had followed Nick for years. Born in 1993, Nick reportedly began experimenting with substances at a shockingly young age. Around 15 years old, what followed was a pattern that spiraled fast and became nearly impossible to break. Growing up under intense expectations, surrounded by fame and pressure, Nick's world often felt overwhelming and isolating. His family saw the warning signs early and tried everything they could to help. Rob and Michelle reportedly sent him to his first rehabilitation program while he was still a teenager. That marked the start of a long cycle of treatment and relapse that would repeat over and over again. Despite everything, they never walked away. They continued offering support, structure, and chances to rebuild, even allowing him to return to their Brentwood home in hopes of giving him stability. That long history now sits at the center of this case, raising difficult questions about responsibility, limits, and how far love can stretch before it breaks. Rob reportedly spent countless hours trying to guide Nick through creative projects, hoping structure and purpose could help steady him. He believed that giving his son something to build might give him a reason to keep going. But addiction is relentless, and Nick's recovery always remained fragile. The very home, meant to shelter and stabilize him, would later become the center of everything that went wrong. What was supposed to be a place of safety slowly turned into a pressure cooker filled with fear, exhaustion, and unanswered worries. Rob once said that being a parent means never giving up on your child, no matter how far they fall. Friends say he lived by that belief every day. The Reiners drove home quietly, unaware it would be their final ride together. The house they had filled with love, patience, and years of trying to save their son would soon become the center of a story that shook Hollywood to its core. This case endures not just because of what happened, but because of what it destroyed. A family that fought for years to stay together. And the hardest questions still linger in those final moments. Did Rob and Michelle sense their love was no longer enough? We may never fully understand that night, but we can remember who they were before everything fell apart.